Hey guys, happy Saturday. So, before I go and do my workout, I actually just wanted to pop in and talk about some things that I felt have really been helping me this week in regards to like adhering to my nutrition plans, my fitness plans, and just living an overall happy, healthy lifestyle, adhering to things that make me feel good. And a lot of these are mindset shifts that I wanted to share. Things that I'm just kind of like saying in my own head to remind myself of why I live a healthy lifestyle, and to really just keep me on the right path, keep me going towards my goals, really. And like I said, living the happiest, healthiest life that I can, because that's really what this is about for me. Aside for anything from sport or physique related, anything like that, health is like the main purpose is to feel my best, to show up my best, to be the best physically, mentally, emotionally, all the things, and just show up as the best version of myself and grow into that, whatever that might be for whatever season or phase of my life. So I wanted to share some of these mindset shifts with you guys that I've been talking through with myself in my own head. So as I had shared before, this past weekend, I kind of found myself, I did find myself emotionally eating. And I found myself in my first post-show binge. This was something that I took it hard, mentally and physically, because mentally I felt guilty about the food that I had eaten, and the fact that I went so far off from my plans, and in my past I've actually really struggled with binge eating and purging, and so I kind of felt like I had taken steps backwards into that version of myself, that I don't like. So when that was all going on mentally, that was like really frustrating for me. But I'm glad that I didn't purge in that instance, but giving into that binge eating behavior, rooted in emotional eating, was really just frustrating to me. And like I said, I felt guilty about what I had done, because you go months and months and months training for your show, and you're so on point with your plans, and then it's like, why am I flying off the handle all of a sudden? Why can't I control myself anymore? And that's kind of how it feels. So that was a little bit frustrating. And then physically I was frustrated because I was so full that it legitimately hurts. Luckily, I don't have a lot of food in my apartment that I can like binge on excessively. That's gonna really throw me off the edge. I don't have like candies or brownie mix or anything like that. I've really tried to set up my environment to win, so to speak, or to prevent myself in these instances from really going off the rails. But either way, I ate a shit ton of rice cakes. I ate a shit ton of protein bars and just like random shit, and I felt like shit. And I was frustrated. So when I found myself in this instance, I reached out to one of my teammates. I had like an emergency phone call with her, and that was really great because she helped me to unearth some of what was going on with myself mentally, and I was able to kind of like think about that and work through that, and just dissect the real action and reason for why this happened, as opposed to, oh yeah, like I was just hungry. Like, no, it was more than that. So having that phone call with my teammate was really helpful for that. And then also just being open and honest with my coach afterwards so that we could move on from that and really just, accept that it had happened. And like I said, move on. So anyways, yeah, so that is kind of what I was dealing with this weekend. And that's why I wanted to share these mindset shifts that I've been repeating to myself with you guys, because this has been super helpful in adhering to my plans moving forward. So number one, how you fuel is how you feel. Number two, movement creates your mood. And number three, push food, push weights. These are the three phrases that I've been repeating to myself over and over, basically, throughout the week to remind myself why I live this lifestyle and why I'm dedicating myself to focusing on good nutrition and exercise, and really just reminding myself to do these things to get towards my goals. So just to kind of like dive into that a little bit, how you fuel is how you feel. Literally, this is like the biggest overarching theme that I that I always have for myself is how you fuel is how you feel. I just keep reminding myself of that even more recently, so that I remember to fuel my body with healthy foods. So this week I've literally, I've had a salad and an apple for lunch every single day. And I know that sounds so basic or, the stereotypical healthy meal. And I'm not even somebody that eats salads very frequently, but that is something that really is making me feel good. So that is what I'm eating for lunch. And this is how I kind of frame all of my meals. I try to think about foods that are going to make me feel good, along with foods that I want. So reminding myself of how you fuel is how you feel helps me to kind of veer away from unhealthier choices. So when I find myself maybe at night, wanting brownies or wanting more chocolate or more peanut butter or whatever it is, I remind myself how I fuel is how I feel, because when I go overboard, I do not feel good and I do not want to feel bad. I do not want to feel anything other than good and awesome, right? So reminding myself of that is really important, and it's so awesome because in so many ways knowledge is power. And for myself, understanding the way the body works and the science of things, that really helps me to adhere to whatever fitness or exercise plans that I've ever developed for myself or that my coach gives to me. Every time my coach gives me new plans or something is going on, I ask her why. And knowing the actual scientific mechanisms that are going on in my body helps me to follow it. So what I'm getting at here with this mindset shift of how you fuel is how you feel, your mind and your gut are legitimately connected. This is amazing. Okay, so when you eat healthy foods, not only is it doing good things for your body, but it actually releases the same feel-good hormones that are released when you exercise. You know, everybody talks about endorphins, that get released when you exercise. But when you fuel your body with healthy foods, your gut legitimately releases those hormones too. So how you fuel is how you feel. And that just is amazing, because I remember when I first started making the shift towards healthy living and I started fueling my body with healthy foods and making that shift towards making healthier choices, I could feel myself, I could feel my depression lifting, because at the time I was really, my life was out of control. I was like a fucking basket case, basically. I needed help. And so along with faith, fueling my body with healthy foods and actually exercising, all these things, I could feel such a difference. And that is literally, part of that is rooted in the fact that I was fueling my body differently. I stopped eating so much processed shit and all of the sugar and everything. I was really transitioning towards a whole foods diet. And I find this very ironic, because when we are emotional, or when we find ourselves in an episode of emotional eating, or we're stressed, all these things, food can be your medicine, in the sense that if you make healthy choices, you can supply your body with those feel-good hormones at the same time that you're putting good nutrients into your body. Woo! That to me, like I said, knowing the science behind things really helps me in the moment, especially when I'm feeling weak or my motivation is down or whatever. Thinking about those things really helps me. So if I know that I'm upset and I actually take that deliberate second to think about what's actually gonna make me feel good, and I try to make a healthier choice. Now, that being said, when we are emotionally eating or feeling stressed out or whatever it is, reaching for carrots probably isn't your first thought. It's probably gonna be pizza, chocolate, ice cream, those kinds of things. But like I said, with that knowledge being power, when you recognize that you're gonna be in an episode of emotional eating, or that is what's going on, when you recognize that, you can kind of take a step back for that split second. If you could just stop yourself and say, what's really going on? What's really gonna help me feel better? Is eating this whole chocolate cake really gonna make me feel better? Probably not. And then so something like that, for me, I'll take ice cream, for example, which I love ice cream, you know, but ice cream doesn't make me feel good, and it actually puts me worse, makes me feel worse. So I've turned it into something healthy. I make protein milkshakes. And personally, they're just as good, if not better, because they actually make me feel good when I make them. So I still get that satisfaction of feeling like I ate some ice cream, and it fills me up, and I'm just like, it helps. That helps me really, really a lot. So I've been doing that trick for a couple of years now, really. And I did it all throughout prep too. So that's something that really helps me. So in a nutshell, I know that was a little bit longer of an explanation, but I really think this one is so important, is how you fuel is how you feel. So really just remembering that when you put good foods into your body literally releases hormones that help to stabilize your mood, help to make you feel better, because food is medicine, or it can be if you use it in the proper way. So that is one of the mindset shifts that I've been repeating to myself. And then the next one is movement creates your mood. This one's pretty self-explanatory, and kind of going along with when you put healthy foods into your body, release those happiness hormones, those happiness chemicals. Same thing happens when you exercise, right? We've all heard about the endorphins and dopamine and all serotonin, all the things that go on. Or maybe you haven't heard, but like, I guess I'll tell you now then, if you're new to that information. But when you exercise, you legitimately are fighting mental illnesses such as depression and anxiety. You are combating stress and all of those things because of the chemical reactions and changes, the release of different hormones in your body that is actually going on. So that's really cool, and that's really a way that you can use movement to create your mood. Movement helps you to feel better. Now, for myself, I've been repeating this as a little bit of a reminder to me because during prep, I started going for walks in the morning to help meet my cardio requirements, to squeeze everything all into a day. And then my plan was to continue walking every morning, not only to reach my cardio requirements, but to just set myself up for a good day. I felt like when I went for walks in the morning, it felt so good. You know, I used that as a real time to talk with God, set myself up for success in the day, and practice gratitude and like a lot of the like woo-woo shit, like whatever. But like I really liked it. And my plan was to continue that even though I didn't need to necessarily anymore because I'm transitioning to off season or improvement season, as I like to call it. But you know, literally like slowly but surely, it was like the alarm would go off and I'd press snooze because it wasn't like I needed to do it anymore, you know? So I noticed that was one thing that I was self-sabotaging with. So I really started to remind myself of movement creates your mood and to start going on my walks again. And I'm not even freaking kidding you. Like when I actually got myself up this week to go for that walk, I felt completely different in the way that I approached my day. And what was so ironic about it is like the days that I was skipping walking in the morning, I wasn't getting anything more done. I wasn't being able to get to work earlier or accomplish anything else. It was literally just like wasted time. Like, and that to me, I was just like, you know, like, I don't know how else to describe it, but I was just like, you know what, I feel so much better when I start my day off with a walk. Why am I skipping it? Self-sabotage, that's the reason. So I really just tried to keep reminding myself, movement creates your mood, and to make sure that I'm still training hard, still going for my walks, doing the things that make me feel good, and not just like even something like, you know, coming home from work and just like vegging out on the couch. Like that's not something that I'm willing to participate in because I know when I do that, I don't feel good. So I just remind myself that movement creates your mood. And then lastly, this one has really been helpful for me. Push food, push weights. I literally will, I don't know, I can't tell you how many times in a day I say this to myself in my head, push food, push weights. Now, I want to explain this one a little bit because being on the transition from prep, you're in season, you're really training for a specific goal in regards to your physique, and to present a package that looks good on stage that the judges are going to appeal to, that makes you have a competitive physique, right? So That's really a lot of your goals when you're in season. And then transitioning to off season, improvement season, you have to be okay with eating more food and gaining weight. It's part of the process. You cannot stay stage lean forever. It's not maintainable. And if you fight gaining the weight in your off season, you're only hurting yourself, really, because like I said, you cannot maintain that. You should not try to maintain that. And you can gain the weight in a healthy way. And it's going to help you to build the muscle necessary to compete at a stronger level for next year, to come back even better. Because really, that's what the biggest waste of your time is showing up next season exactly like you did this season. So you have to be okay with gaining the weight. Now, that being said, it doesn't make it any easier. I've talked about this a little bit before. Being a female, it's really hard to wrap your head around gaining weight in this culture, in this society, especially even just being in this sport. You know, you go from being shredded as fuck to now you're not as shredded, trying to look like trying to gain muscle. It's just like wrapping your whole mindset around something completely different. So that's why I wanted to share this one: push food, push weights, because you need to eat. You need to eat to gain the weight, and you need to eat in order to gain enough muscle to come back next season in a competitive manner. Now, this is something that why I've been reminding myself of it also is because so many times we in the general public, really, I see this a lot, is people going through a bulk phase in order to gain muscle, and they're eating more food, right, because they're in a bulk, and nothing is really changing except they're gaining mass, but a lot of it is fat mass. Now, the reason being is because somewhere along the way, we've lost the connection or the understanding that eating more food is not what is contributing directly to gaining more muscle. Now, what I mean by this is if you are eating more food to help you gain muscle, you have to at the same time be applying more resistance and more stress to your muscles. So a little bit of explanation of that. You know, when you're eating more food, you have more reserves. You have more nutrients available to help your muscles recover when they've been under increased stress. So along with eating more food, along with having more reserves, if you're not stressing out your muscles enough, that reserve doesn't go to your muscles, you're storing it as fat. Do you see what I'm saying? So because somewhere, like I said, along the line, we've lost this connection of understanding that eating more food does not contribute directly to gaining more muscle. Otherwise, obesity wouldn't exist. People would just be jacked, right? So if you're going to be eating more food with the intention that you want to be putting on more muscle, you have to be lifting the heavy weights. You have to make sure that you're still training hard. And let's say before you decided to, go into this muscle building phase, before you decided to go into that phase, make sure you know where you started with your weights. How heavy were you lifting for bicep curls before? How many sets were you doing? Taking that, and then now that you're eating more food, telling yourself in your mind, like, okay, now I'm increasing the weights. Like I'm going heavier, or maybe if you were doing 3 sets of 12 reps, now you're eating more food and you want to gain more muscle. Okay, maybe you're going to change that sequence to 4 sets of 8 reps with heavier weights. You see what I'm saying? You're putting a different type of stress on your muscles and trying to go into that hypertrophy phase using the food that you've got available. Push food, push weights. So this has been a really good mindset reminder to me, especially in these instances that maybe I went over on my macros. Maybe I ate more food, whether it was on accident or intentionally, whatever. In those times where I'm eating more food, which is now it's consistently, like my macros are up compared to the deficit that I was in for prep. So push food, push weights. If I'm going to be eating more food, I'm telling myself that I'm going to be pushing heavier weights. That way I can reach my goals and use the food for a specific purpose. I've actually operated under this mindset. I just didn't necessarily call it push food, push weights. I wasn't necessarily saying that to my head for all this time, but like recently it's really been helping me. But like even for the past couple of years, approaching something like a holiday where, you know, like Thanksgiving used to give me a lot of anxiety. Like I said, when I was like in my past of like binge eating, purging, restrictive eating, all those things. Thanksgiving and holidays centered around food used to give me a lot of anxiety and pressure and fear, because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm gonna eat all this food and then I'm gonna get fat, like all this stuff, you know, like that we tell ourselves in our head. But this concept of using the food, using a surplus of food to help power you through a workout, you know, really has helped me. So like every year now on Thanksgiving or on Christmas, I will work out, not because I feel like I have to, but because I know if I've got this extra food, I can smash a really good workout, or, you know, like using it, you know, it's about using the fuel that you're putting into your body. So this whole concept of push food, push weights has really been helpful for me, because I do have the goal of gaining muscle, and I do have the goal of gaining weight in a healthy way. So I know that I have to eat the food, and if I'm gonna eat the food, I'm gonna push some motherfucking heavy weights. And it makes me feel really good, and it makes me feel like a powerhouse. And it's also just helped me to avoid that space of restriction and overcompensation for the times that, like I said, I maybe did go over in my macros, whether it was, like I said, intentionally or accidentally. Those times that I did maybe go over in my macros, I'll tell myself, push food, push weights. Now you've got this extra fuel available. What are you gonna do with it? And then it helps me push myself at the gym, like when I'm doing like hip thrusts or military press or something like that. I'm like you've got those extra carbs, like let's fucking use a bitch, like let's go. Like I don't know, it's just like really is helpful to me. So that's why I wanted to share these mindset shifts, because mindset is freaking so important. So just to repeat those 3 mindset shifts that I've really been repeating to myself in my head to help me adhere to my nutrition and my fitness plans, and stay oriented towards my goals. How you fuel is how you feel. Movement creates your mood, and push food, push weights. Hopefully this is helpful for you. Hopefully this is something that you can maybe apply in a similar way or a different way to your life, adhering to your plans, and maybe you learned something. Maybe these are some new concepts that you maybe didn't think about before. Hopefully there was some sort of educational nugget in here that is going to help you to adhere to your plans, and just help you to live a happier, healthier lifestyle, to be the best version of yourself, really, that you can be, because that's what it's about. Aside from anything, like I said, aside from anything physique related, or like whatever, like those are obviously different goals and good goals to have, whether it's, you know, weight loss, weight gain, muscle gain, you know, whatever it is that you're working towards. But the underlying factor should always be your health and your happiness. So like I said, hopefully those little mindset shifts help you in some way. And that's all I got for you guys. XOXO.